Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. And if you haven't already checked out the video I just posted about 30 minutes ago, probably an hour by the time this uploads, the way my computer has been operating. But anyway, if you haven't heard, Don Russell, along with two other men, someone named Michael Williams, and the other one, I believe his name is Richard Arleen Jr. or Sr. They were arrested by the Eastern District of New York. It looks like the Eastern District of New York is trying to build their own enterprise that they want to pin on Mr. Kelly. And basically, stating that these gentlemen have obstructed justice, have harassed witnesses and accusers, set cars on fire, and all other kind of manner of nonsense. And so I went online to look a little further to see what this indictment looks like, and come to find out that Mr. Russell has been in trouble since March 9th of 2020, and this thing is just now being unsealed. So let me find out that Don Russell has sold Mr. Kelly up the river to protect himself, because we know Negroes will do that kind of stuff. So you already got other folks out here doing stuff that we know are working for the feds, because they have their own cases pending. And so they have their own narratives that they're putting out daily, threatening people, trying to bribe people and all other craziness, trying to get their own federal sentences reduced. So nothing surprises me at this point. But let me go ahead and jump into this. I pretty much let you guys know my feelings in the last video. And if you haven't watched it, go ahead and check it out. And I'll drop the link above. So in the letter dated August 11th, it says, Dear Judge Kuo, K-U-O, who I guess is going to be overseeing this case, it says, law enforcement agents intend to arrest the defendant, Donnell Russell, pursuant to an arrest warrant issued in the above captioned case today in Long Beach, California. Given the time difference between California and New York, the government respectfully moves for an order to unseal the complaint and arrest warrant in the above captioned manner. Upon execution of the arrest warrants, and then it's signed by our girl Elizabeth Gerdes, who you guys know is over the Kelly case. It goes down and says proposed order upon the application of Seth D. Ducharme, acting United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, by Assistant United States Attorney Elizabeth Gerdes, for an order unsealing the complaint and arrest warrant in the above captioned manner or matter, wherefore it is ordered that the complaint and arrest warrant in the above captioned matter be unsealed at the time the arrest warrant is executed. And so then I'm going to go ahead and read to you guys the indictment. But hold on for a second, because my computer battery is dying and I need to go get the charger. Okay, here we go. It says, affidavit to support warrant of arrest, United States of America against Donnell Russell, also known as Don Russell, and Colin, C-O-L-O-N, Don, D-U-N-N. It says Eastern District of New York. Let's see, I had to run across the house. Let me catch my breath here. Sylvette Reynoso, being duly sworn, deposes and states that she is a special agent with the United States Department of Homeland Security, Homeland Security Investigations, duly appointed according to law and acting as such. On or before and between November 2018 and February 2020, both dates being approximate and inclusive, with the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant Donnell Russell, also known as Don Russell, and Colin Dunn, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally use 1. The mail, 2. An interactive computer service, electronic communication service, an electronic communication system of interstate commerce, and 3. A facility of interstate commerce to engage in a course of conduct that attempted to cause, and would reasonably be expected to cause substantial emotional distress to Jane Doe, an individual whose identity is known in the affidavit, and an immediate family member of Jane Doe, with the intent to harass and intimidate Jane Doe and an immediate family member of Jane Doe. And we already know who these folks are that they are referring to. The source of your deponent's information and the grounds for her belief are as follows. 1. I am a special agent with the United States Department of Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, and have been since 2008. I am currently assigned to HSI's New York office, and more specifically to a squad that investigates human trafficking and alien smuggling matters. I am responsible for conducting and assisting in investigations and the activities of individuals and criminal groups responsible for sex and human trafficking and related offenses. I am familiar with the facts and circumstances set forth before. From my participation in the investigation, my review of the investigative file, including the defendant's criminal history record, and from reports of other law enforcement officers involved in the investigation. 2. As described herein, following a civil lawsuit filed by Jane Doe, an individual whose identity is known to the affiant against Mr. Kelly, is also known as R. Kelly, the defendant, Donnell Russell, also known as Don Russell, and Colin Dunn, together and with others, engaged in a course of conduct designed to harass and intimidate Jane Doe by, among other things, threatening to reveal potentially embarrassing photographs of Jane Doe, to publicly reveal Jane Doe's history if Jane Doe did not withdraw or her lawsuit against Mr. Kelly. And once again, we know that this Jane Doe is FR. Okay, we're gonna pretend along with them. 1. Background. 3. The U.S. Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of New York and Department of Homeland Security Investigations, New York Field Office, collectively the government, are investigating Mr. Kelly, also known as R. Kelly, herein Kelly, and others for their participation in a racketeering enterprise involving bribery, the production of CP, transportation of women across state lines to engage in illegal activity, including contact and blah, 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 blah. We know all that. 4. On December 5th, 2019, a grand jury in the Eastern District of New York returned a second superseding indictment against Kelly with racketeering involving predicate racketeering acts related to 6 individuals whose identities are known to the affiant, including Jane Doe, and 4 Mann Act violations related to Jane Doe. The Mann Act violation related to Jane Doe are also charged as racketeering acts in the indictment. Kelly is also charged with forced labor of Jane Doe in violation as racketeering act. The enterprise, which does not exist, they're trying to create here. Number 5, for more than 3 decades, Kelly, with the assistance of members of his inner circle and his employees, including employee number 1, employee number 2, employee number 3, and employee number 4, whose identities are known to the affiant, has produced musical albums and performed throughout the United States and abroad under the name R. Kelly. In or about 2014, RSK Enterprises, LLC, a Delaware limited liability company with its principal place of business in Chicago, Illinois, was incorporated. RSK Enterprises, LLC, worked exclusively with Kelly, who sang and produced records under the name R. Kelly and contracted out Kelly's performances. 6. Kelly and members of his inner circle comprised an enterprise, quote, the enterprise, within the meaning of, child, these people get on my nerves, meaning of 18 United States Code 1961-4, that is the enterprise, including his leadership, membership, and associates, constituted a group of individuals associated, in fact, that was engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce. They say in fact, which actually should be alleged. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the enterprise. They're basically repeating all the garbage that they have in the original document. In number 8, let's see, number 9, the enterprise employed tour buses and Mercedes Sprinters to transport Kelly and other members of the enterprise, among others, to perform at R. Kelly concerts throughout the country. So I guess now it is against the law to have a tour bus and a Sprinter. How interesting. Number 10, when Kelly attended or performed at concerts and other events, Kelly and or members of the enterprise on his behalf invited women backstage and to other events following his live performances. These women were often offered wristbands and signified that they were authorized to attend an event. Child, that's what they already said in the main indictment. Oh, Lord. Let's see. When Kelly identified a woman who he wished to see again, he either gave his contact information to the woman or obtained their contact information or relied upon members of the enterprise to do so. The alleged enterprise. Following those events, he communicated with certain of these women by telephone, including traditional telephone calls, text messages, iMessages, and FaceTime. As part of this communication, Kelly often requested the women provide him with photographs of themselves. 12. Kelly and other members of the alleged enterprise also arranged for the women to travel to see him on occasion, including at concerts throughout the United States and related events. Keyword there, invited, which means that they had the opportunity to accept or decline, right? I mean, okay. Anyway, to facilitate their travel, Kelly directed the women to contact a member of the alleged enterprise, who then arranged travel for the women. When the women arrived at the lodging, which was typically selected by a member of the alleged enterprise, a member of the alleged enterprise usually provided them with instructions. In addition, members of the alleged enterprise took steps to ensure that the women did not interact with others whom Kelly planned to see. Member of the alleged enterprise then arranged for women to attend his concerts and positioned them such that Kelly could see them during his concerts. I am still waiting on the crime that supposedly took place. Number 13, several witnesses have advised that Kelly promulgated numerous rules that many of his partners were required to follow, including the following. The women were not permitted to leave their room without receiving permission from Kelly, including to eat or go to the bathroom. Child, here they go with this nonsense about the baggy clothes. Couldn't look at other men. Had to call him daddy. What does any of this have to do with Don Russell? So let me scheme down, because they just with the BS with this here. Okay, this is all from the original indictment. I'm not reading all this nonsense again. Okay, here's something. Let's see, I may not. So they're including in their notes, I guess, from their discovery. It says, based on records obtained by subpoena and information provided by witnesses, including employee number 1 and employee number 2. Employee number 1 worked for several years as an assistant and frequently handled travel arrangements for women who traveled to see Kelly at his request. Southwest Airlines records show that Jane Doe traveled from San Antonio, Texas to Nashville at 7:15 a.m. on May 18th, 2017. And then from Nashville to LaGuardia Airport in Queens, New York on a flight departing at 10 a.m. the same day. Southwest Airlines records further show that Jane Doe traveled on a flight from LaGuardia Airport to San Antonio on May 20th, 2017. In addition, Jane Doe provided copies of text message exchanges in her possession between Jane Doe and employee number 1 to the government. One such exchange indicates that at approximately 9:20 a.m. on May 18, 2017, Jane Doe sent employee number 1 a text message stating, "Just landed in Nashville. Do you know what to plan for when I arrive?" Thereafter, employee number 1 sent a text message to Jane Doe stating, "When you land, your destination is Hilton Long Island, Huntington, 598 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York. A room number under your name at the Hilton for 2 nights." After arriving at the hotel, Jane Doe sent a text message to employee number 1 stating, "I'm here checking in. They don't see anything under my name." Employee number 1 then texted Jane Doe, "Can you ask them to look up my name? Your name may be with mine." Jane Doe agreed to do so and later texted employee number 1, "I checked into the room." Thereafter, employee number 1 texted Jane Doe to let her know that there is a show tonight starting at 8 p.m. and later added, "I'll let you know what time to head to the venue. Stand by for address. Venue, Theater at Westbury, 960 Brush Hollow Road, Westbury, New York." Employee number 1 thereafter sent a text message to Jane Doe number 6 indicating that she would, quote, "request an Uber," end quote, for Jane Doe to take her to the venue. On May 18th, 2017, Kelly performed the concert at NYCB Theater at Westbury, located at 960 Brush Hollow Road in Westbury, New York. Records from the Hilton Hotel on Long Island show that 2 rooms were reserved under employee number 1's name for May 18, 2017 and May 19, 2017. Once again, where is the crime that has been committed? So then it goes on to say, when Jane Doe arrived at the hotel, employee number 1 instructed her to be ready at a particular time or at near the time employee number 1 had told her. Jane Doe was transported to the concert venue for an R. Kelly concert. Following the concert, she returned to the hotel. At approximately 6 a.m., Kelly unexpectedly arrived at Jane Doe's room and loudly announced his presence. With him was a backpack which appeared to contain at least 1 iPad. Jane Doe allowed Kelly to enter her room, and Kelly eventually engaged in sex with Jane Doe in the hotel room. Kelly did not wear a condom prior to this encounter. Kelly did not mention to Jane Doe that he had contracted herpes. Okay, what does any of this have to do with Don Russell? See, during the encounter in the hotel room in Long Island, Kelly told Jane Doe in sum and substance that if she were really 15 or 16, she could tell him. Jane Doe told him she was 19 and offered to show him her driver's license. Following the trip to Long Island, Jane Doe continued to communicate with Kelly by phone and text messages. Once again, where's the crime? Jane Doe traveled to Chicago, Illinois to see Kelly in June 2017. As with her trip to Long Island, employee number 1 booked her travel and instructed her when she should be ready. Jane Doe stayed at the Homewood Suites and was later brought to a recording studio to see Kelly. During the visit to the studio, Kelly, then they described some stuff that went on between the two of them that I am not going to read here, but it was very consensual according to this. Then they go on to talk about she next traveled to see him in December 2017 in Dallas, Texas, where he had a concert. And once again, they engaged in consensual sex. While together in Dallas, Kelly told Jane Doe in substance he was residing with multiple women, including some who had been living with him since they were 15, and that he liked Jane Doe because she reminded him of those women. Kelly next arranged for Jane Doe to travel to Los Angeles to see him in January 2018. During this trip, Jane Doe went to a recording studio in Los Angeles to see him. Once at the studio, Jane Doe waited for many hours without food or water for him to arrive. Kelly stayed for a short period of time and did not show up again until the following day. Kelly told her that when he did come, Jane Doe was to be ready for him, and that when he told her to give him blank, she needed to jump up and act super happy. When he arrived that following day, Kelly had a backpack with him. He took Jane Doe into a similar area room. Within the room, she had been waiting for him in and instructed Jane Doe to take off her clothing. Jane Doe noticed a gun, which Kelly moved to a small table nearby. Kelly then proceeded to ask Jane Doe a series of questions, warning her there would be consequences if she lied. Jane Doe believed she was not free to leave the room. Thereafter, Jane Doe gave Kelly his oral while in the room. Oh, Jesus, these people are too much. Okay, Jane Doe traveled a final time to meet Kelly in February 2018 in connection with Kelly's trip to the New York City for the 2018 Grammy Awards. She recalled staying in Kelly's room at a hotel with a name that sounded like the Mandarin. The day after she arrived, Kelly entered the room at approximately 10 or 11 in the morning, and when he walked inside, he immediately propped an iPad, opened all the curtains, and said, "You need to get used to my schedule." Kelly then put Jane Doe in front of the iPad camera and told her to touch herself. When she declined to do that, he stopped recording. Kelly thereafter engaged in contact with Jane Doe. Prior to this encounter, Kelly did not tell Jane Doe that he had contracted herpes. Jane Doe thereafter learned that she had contracted herpes from Kelly and subsequently filed a lawsuit against him. At one point during Jane Doe's relationship with Kelly, Kelly asked her to provide him with a list of things that she did not want the world to know about and volunteered to help her craft that list. Jane Doe did not actually provide Kelly with such a list. Kelly was asked her to sign some documents, but she never did. Jane Doe, okay, I'm down to number 17, child. Jane Doe has provided the government with copies of various communications she engaged in with both Kelly and employee number 1 using an iPhone. The communications with Kelly included a screenshot of a FaceTime video chat between Kelly and Jane Doe, as well as various text messages exchanges using the Apple iMessage feature, during which Jane Doe refers to Kelly as Daddy and where the two send photographs of themselves to each other. I am still waiting and looking for where the crime took place. So then in section 2, it says probable cause 18. Still talking about faith, child. Let me see, scroll down here and see if anything worth reading. They talking about the civil lawsuit, which you already know about. And if you don't know about it, just check the history on my videos on this case because I talk about them. Okay, so they say 19, the civil attorney has advised the substance and in part that in or about the fall of 2018, the civil attorney's receptionist received an envelope via United States Postal Service certified mail at the civil attorney's law office in Brooklyn, which the receptionist subsequently provided to the civil attorney. The envelope, the civil attorney has provided the U.S. Postal Service tracking number for the envelope, the tracking number as well as the envelope and its contents to the government. And you guys here, they're talking about that letter that was sent to Faith that was basically threatening her if she continued to go forward with this lawsuit. Let's see if let me see. Law offices at the time, Brooklyn, New York, approximately 118. I'm looking for the part where they can trace this back to him. Okay. So it says on the USPS, records related to the tracking number also provide a tracking number for the certified mail return receipt associated with the envelope. The USPS records related to the return receipt tracking number indicate that the destination address for the return receipt was 219 North Justine Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60607-1403, the address of a warehouse rented and used as Inter Alia, a recording studio by Kelly at the time. Okay. So why would he put a address on a certified receipt that could be traced back to him? Makes no sense. And if he was going to send this letter, why not put your lawyer's address on it? This is just such a messy case. So it goes on to say law enforcement agents interviewed an individual who, among other things, was responsible for handling incoming mail at the Brooklyn building in which the civil attorney's office was located in November 2018. This individual was shown a copy of the signature from USPS records and confirmed that the signature belonged to him or her. 22, I have reviewed the contents of the envelope, which contained the following items. 1, a one-page letter dated October 22nd, 2018, addressed to the civil attorney at her law office in Brooklyn. And for you all who don't know, this lawyer that they're talking about, her name is Lydia Hill, and I'm not sure if she's been disbarred or not, but she ended up having to leave Faith's case because of her own legal issues, where she was trying to help her aunt hide money that was owed to the government from some case that the aunt had lost. And so she had to step down from the case. And so it goes on to say, signed with a handwritten signature over the name Robert Sylvester Kelly, the October 22nd, 2018 letter. 2, a one-page document entitled Testimony, which purports to set forth an under oath statement from Ms. Kelly with a handwritten signature in the bottom and dated October 20th, 2018. 3, a one-page notice of delivery, the notice of delivery with a version of the case caption for the lawsuit addressed to the civil attorney's law office, signed by June Barrett, care of an address in Chicago, Illinois, and a listed Yahoo email address. 4, a copy of what appears to be the cover page of the lawsuit, a summons in the lawsuit addressed to Kelly, and the first page of the verified complaint and demand for jury trial for the lawsuit, with the following stamp affixed to each document. And in all caps, I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings. With Kelly's purported handwritten signature and a state of Illinois notary stamp and signature for June A. Barrett, dated October 29, 2018. And number 5, and 2 one-page documents containing photographs and text related to Jane Doe, further described below, hereinafter attachment 1 and attachment 2. Among other things, the October 22nd, 2018 letter addressed to the civil attorney states, please advise Miss Jane Doe's last name, Miss Rogers, your client, to abandon this heartless effort to try to destroy my musical legacy for selfish personal enrichment. If she persists in court action, she will be subjected to public opinion during the discovery process. For example, my law team is prepared to request the production of the medical test results proving the origin of her STD claim, as well as 10 personal male witnesses testifying under oath about her sex life in support of her claim, and complete records of her text, FaceTime message exchanges, which will be reviewed to match and be authenticated by the recipient to ensure there are no omissions or deletions. If Ms. Rogers really cares about her own reputation, she should cease her participation and association with the organizers of this negative campaign. Counter actions are in the development stages and due to be released soon. 24. Attachment 1 is entitled, Here's Faith, Your Client, which title is followed by 3 photographs of her face, 2 of which appear to have been taken from TV interviews of Jane Doe. The following text appears below the 3 photographs of her. Here's a sample of the real Faith. Remember, she lives in Texas, so her claim of being intimidated falls flat because these pics were sent via text. 4 photographs appear below the aforementioned text. 1, a photograph of her and a man who appears to be Kelly. 2, a close-up photograph of her face and the top portion of her exposed breast, including a partial portion of her nipple area. 3, a photograph of Jane Doe kneeling on a bed, which includes a partial portion of her exposed butt. And 4, a photograph of a text message exchange on what appears to be an iPhone, where the iPhone owner states, quote, in a meeting, send me the entire picture, baby. Okay, end quote. And Jane Doe responds with a closed photograph of herself, followed by an iMessage stating, quote, is this better, daddy, end quote. The following text appears below these 4 photographs, quote, I assure you this would not be considered a Sunday go-to-meeting dress. The next 2 pictures have been cropped for the sake of not exposing her extremities to the world yet. I am a singer, not a doctor, so how does Miss, justify her transmissions of these kinds of pictures, end quote. Based on my review of attachment 1, I believe the reference to, quote, the next 2 pictures, end quote, is a reference to the close-up photograph of her face and the top portion of her exposed breast, including a partial portion of her nipple area, and the photograph of Jane Doe kneeling on a bed, which includes a partial portion of her exposed butt, described above, that appear on top of this text. Lord have mercy. 25. Attachment 2 consists of 3 photographs of text messages exchanges on what appears to be an iPhone, with the following text above the photographs of Jane Doe's last name, usage of daddy was her choice. It's very interesting how the difference in age only becomes a factor when things didn't go as she planned, end quote. The text message exchanges include text to the owner of the iPhone where the owner is called daddy, and a text message where an address is disclosed. 26. Based on training, experience, and knowledge of this investigation, there is probable cause to believe that when the author wrote, quote, the next 2 pictures have been cropped. Okay, we already read that. The author intended to communicate to Jane Doe that if she did not withdraw the civil lawsuits she filed against Mr. Kelly, intimate and potentially embarrassing photographs of Jane Doe would be publicly released. 27. Jane Doe did not withdraw her lawsuit against Kelly. 28. On January 6, 2020, the Honorable Lois Bloom issued a search warrant for an email account subscribed to and used by Russell, then has in parentheses the Russell Gmail account, sent an email to an individual whose identity is known to the affiant, the individual, with the text, quote, check this out, kindest regards, Don Russell, end quote, and attaching a PDF document entitled Jane Doe's Name PDF, Jane Doe PDF. The second page of the Jane Doe PDF contains the verbatim text described above from attachment 1. Here's a sample of the real Jane Doe's name. Remember, she lives in Texas, so her claim of being intimidated falls flat because those pics were sent via text. And so it's basically repeating what it already said above was in the text messages. And then the photographs. And then 29, it says the third and final page of the Jane Doe PDF is exactly the same as attachment 2. It consists of the following text about using the term daddy. And then 30 goes on to say, on December 4th, 2018, Russell, using the Russell Gmail account, sent an email to the individual stating, quote, here's what just went out, end quote, which forwarded an email dated December 4th, 2018 that was sent by Colin Dunn using the email address colindunn@yahoo.com. And then it has in parentheses the Colin Dunn email account with the subject line, quote, the survivors exposed, end quote, and sent to various individuals employed by A&E Networks, which owns Lifetime Entertainment Services. Lifetime produced a documentary series featuring various of Kelly's accusers entitled SRK, which aired on the Lifetime TV network in early January 2019. As discussed further below, on the evening of December 4th, 2018, Lifetime was to hold a private screening of a portion of the documentary at a theater in Manhattan. However, the screening was interrupted by a gun threat that was communicated by phone to the theater. The forwarded email from Colin Dunn attached a PDF entitled The Survivors and stated, I've been asked to forward you a sample from the content within the package we are forwarding to various parties of interest later today. The complete presentation will be accompanied by a cease and desist demand and a legal document that will be filed in federal court on Friday morning, December 7th, after their itinerary is completed. The list of recipients will include President CEO of Lifetime, Betty Cohen, President CEO of A&E, Paul Bachuri, CEO of Disney Company, Robert A. Iger, A&E Legal Department, the Board of Directors for A&E Networks, as well as top executives at select media outlets. By the way, Mr. Kelly has spoken to the FBI as well. Thank you sincerely, Colin Dunn, lead investigator. Oh, Jesus. 31. The survivors PDF includes photographs and purported information related to various accusers who appear in the SRK documentary, including Jane Doe. The survivors PDF also contain the same photographs contained within attachment 1 and attachment 2, as well as the Jane Doe PDF described above, including the photographs of Jane Doe's partially exposed body. You know, which she's been exposing all over the internet all along, so it's not like it's a big secret. 32. On December 4th, 2018, the Russell Gmail account received an email sent by Yahoo that consisted of a notification of a sign-in onto the Colin Dunn email account. On that date, another email sent by Yahoo to the Russell Gmail account dated December 4th, 2018 provided notification of a password change for the Colin Dunn email account. A third email sent by Yahoo to the Russell Gmail account on December 4th, 2018 indicates that the user of the Colin Dunn email account removed the Russell Gmail account as an alternate email address for the Colin Dunn email account. Subscriber information for Colin Dunn email account indicates that as of January 2020, the alternate email address for the account is indybill2013@gmail.com. Ain't that the name of his business? Don Russell's business is Indy Bill 33, child. On December 5th, 2018, Russell, using the Russell Gmail account, sent an email to the individual which appears to contain a draft email addressed to TMZ, a popular gossip website. Among other things, the draft email indicates that Kelly's staff became aware of the private screening of the Lifetime documentary series about a month ago and, quote, "we publicly exhausted every legal measure to stop the event," end quote, and stating, quote, "we strongly feel Lifetime was about to pull out once they received a sample of the results of our investigation. See attachment." While no attachment is included in the draft email, given the description of what was provided to Lifetime and the date of the draft email, there is probable cause to believe the intended attachment was the survivor's PDF doc. 34. Okay. On December 21st, 2018, Jane Doe and her mother received a series of text messages from telephone number 312-203-3030, which included the text, "just a sample, we will see criminal charges, you've been warned," end quote, followed by photographs of portions of the survivor's PDF, including the same photographs of Jane Doe within attachment 1 and attachment 2. Jane Doe and her mother received text messages from telephone number 312-203-3030 stating, "publishing soon," and this is colon, "my investigation will be done soon enough." On January 3rd, 2019, Jane Doe and her mother received a text message from telephone number 312-203-3030 stating, "pull the plug or you will be exposed." Records from T-Mobile indicate that 312-203-3030 was subscribed to by Indy Bill Corp at 910 West Van Buren Street, Suite 100-352, Chicago, Illinois, from August 30th, 2018 to January 10th, 2019. According to his LinkedIn profile, Russell is the founder, president, CEO of Indy Bill in Chicago, Illinois, and has been associated with Indy Bill since January 2015. 35. Records received from Facebook indicate that a Facebook page called Surviving Lies was created by Facebook user Colin Dunn with phone number 312-203-3030. Which phone number was verified by Facebook on December 3rd, 2018 at 230936 UTC, and a registered email address of colindunn@yahoo.com on January 7th, 2019 at 2:42:01 UTC. The Surviving Lies Facebook page was closed on January 7th, 2019 at 2044. Media reports indicate that Facebook deactivated the Surviving Lies Facebook page after posts targeting Jane Doe and another of Kelly's accusers were posted on the page. A January 7, 2019 article from the Daily Mail includes screenshots from the Surviving Lies Facebook page that were posted on the page before it was taken down. Those screenshots include some of the same photographs of text messages exchanged between Jane Doe and Kelly in attachment number 2, including one where an address is disclosed. In addition, the Daily Mail article states that cropped images of the same woman were also posted on the Facebook page, allegedly showing Kelly her breast augmentation following surgery. Following Facebook's deactivation of the Surviving Lives Facebook page, Facebook issued a statement indicating that the page violated Facebook's community standards and had been removed, adding, quote, "We do not tolerate bullying or sharing others' private contact information and take action on content that violates our policies as soon as we're aware." 36. Records from Facebook and AT&T indicate that the IP address for logins into the Colin Dunn Facebook account on January 7, 2019 is a unique IP address provisioned to an AT&T account belonging to Donnell Russell with a billing and service address in Chicago, Illinois with a 60623 zip code and a preferred email listed on the account as the Russell Gmail account. 37. On February 11, 2020, the Honorable Lois Bloom signed a search warrant for the Colin Dunn email account. On January 6, 2019, the Colin Dunn email account received an email from Facebook titled "Get the Most Out of Your Page for Surviving Lies," and 2, an email from Facebook Business which included the following content: "Welcome to your new Facebook page, Surviving Lies." On January 7, 2019, the Colin Dunn email account received an email from the Facebook ads team which stated, "Enter Aaliyah, your ad is approved and should begin delivering shortly," and referred specifically to a campaign for promoting Surviving Lies. In addition, on January 7, 2019, the Colin Dunn email account received a series of notifications from Facebook regarding various Facebook users' comments on posts and photographs on the Surviving Lies Facebook page. 38. On or about January 25, 2020, Russell appeared in a video interview live streamed on YouTube. During the interview, Russell introduced himself as Kelly's advisor, consultant, and friend, and indicated that he had known Kelly for going on 30 years now. Thereafter, during the interview, Russell discussed Jane Doe and the lawsuit, holding up copies of items that had been sent to the civil attorney described above, namely 1, the notice of delivery, 2, the summons in the lawsuit and the first page of the verified complaint, and demand for jury for the lawsuit with the stamp, "I do not accept this offer to contract and I do not consent to these proceedings." And 3, attachment 1 and attachment 2. While holding up attachment 1 to the camera, Russell stated, "That's my commentary" at the bottom, referring to the text that appears below the 4 photographs on attachment 1. 39. On or about January 26, 2020, Russell appeared in another video interview live streamed on YouTube. During the interview, Russell held up copies of items that had been sent to the civil attorney described above, namely 1, a copy of the first page of the verified complaint and demand for jury trial for the lawsuit with the following stamp affixed to the document: "I do not accept this offer to contract and I do not consent to these proceedings," with Kelly's purported handwritten notarized signature, and 2, attachment 1 and attachment 2. While holding up the camera, the verified complaint with the aforementioned stamp on it, Russell stated Kelly, quote, "signed it," end quote. Thereafter, Russell held attachment 1 and attachment 2 up to the camera and stated, quote, "We sent," end quote, "these documents," quote, "to the lawyer," end quote. Russell further stated, quote, "These are the pictures of her that we sent. These are the text messages of her we sent." 40. Because public filing of this document could result in a risk of flight by the defendant as well as jeopardize the government's investigation, your deponent respectfully requests that the complaint and arrest warrant be filed under seal. Wherefore, your deponent respectfully requests that the defendant Donnell Russell, also known as Don Russell, and Colin Dunn be dealt with according to law. And this was signed by Savette Reynoso, who's with Homeland Security, and it was sworn and signed on March 9th, 2020, which kind of leads up to the fact that Don Russell is a crook. He set him up, which probably explains, remember the whole following the visit to the cigar bar in March, where he made his little comments on camera and everybody was in shock and was like, okay, he got to go. And it appeared that he was let go at that time. And then all of a sudden he starts showing up, you know, on all these interviews and stuff online. And yeah, so if he probably knew all this was going on. So you figure March 20th, and when was that fake car fire thing that went on? So he probably, like I said in my last video, trying to save his butt. Now he's working with the feds and trying to do all this stuff, and probably paid the guy, which one was it? The Michael Williams or the other guy, the Richard guy, paid them to go over there and working with Angelo to set that car on fire, because I know they all in cahoots together now. But anyway, guys, this is going on long enough. I'll look and see if I can find the other affidavits, and if I can find them, indictments, if I can find them, I'll come back and do another video to read those and see if we can put all this together. So that's it for me. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.